Kim Tai-ho wiped the sweat from his forehead as he checked the mining equipment for the third time that morning. The deep space mining station called New Busan floated quietly in the darkness, surrounded by chunks of rock that held precious metals. He had been working here for 2 years now, far from his home on Earth. The pay was good, but he missed his family. The station was huge, with workers from many different planets. Humans worked alongside aliens who looked nothing like them. Some had blue skin, others had too many arms, and some were so tall they had to duck through doorways. Tae-ho had gotten used to it, but he still felt small when the big aliens walked past. His best friend on the station was Park Jin-woo, another human from Korea. Jin-woo was older and had been working in space longer. He knew how to talk to the aliens and never seemed scared of them. The two men ate meals together and shared stories about home. Today felt different, though. The alien workers seemed angry about something. Tae-ho had heard them talking in loud voices near the main work area. He could not understand their language, but their tone sounded upset. The trouble started during the morning shift meeting. All the workers gathered in the big hall to hear about the day's work plans. Commander Kethvar stood at the front of the room. He was from a race called the Veltar. They were known as fierce warriors across the galaxy. Kethvar was almost 8 feet tall with dark red skin and muscles that looked like they could crush metal. His eyes glowed yellow and sharp teeth showed when he spoke. The commander spoke in basic galactic language that most species could understand. "Yesterday's mining numbers were low," he said, his voice deep and threatening. "Some workers are not doing their jobs well enough." Tae-ho looked around the room. Many aliens nodded their heads in agreement. The Veltar were known for being very strict about work. They believed that weak workers brought shame to everyone. Commander Kethvar held up a datapad. One team missed their target by 15%. "This is not acceptable." His yellow eyes scanned the room until they stopped on Jin-woo. "Park Jin-woo, your team failed." Jin-woo stood up slowly. Tae-ho could see his friend was nervous but trying to stay calm. "Sir, we had equipment problems yesterday. The main drill broke down for 3 hours. We reported it to maintenance." "Excuses," Kethvar growled. "Veltar warriors do not make excuses. We find solutions." "We did find a solution," Jin-woo said, his voice getting stronger. "We used the backup equipment and still got most of our work done. We only missed the target because of the broken drill." The room went quiet. Other aliens looked uncomfortable. They knew the Veltar did not like to be questioned, even politely. Commander Kethvar walked down from the platform toward Jin-woo. Each step made a heavy sound on the metal floor. "You speak back to me, human? You think you know better than a Veltar commander?" Tae-ho felt his heart beating faster. He wanted to help his friend, but he did not know what to do. Humans were still new to working with aliens, and they had been told to avoid causing trouble. "I'm just explaining what happened," Jin-woo said. "We followed all the safety rules and did our best with broken equipment." "Your best was not good enough," Kethvar said. He was now standing right in front of Jin-woo, towering over him. "Humans are weak. This proves it." "We're not weak," Jin-woo replied. "We work just as hard as anyone else here. That was when everything went wrong." Commander Kethvar's face turned darker red with anger. "You dare insult Veltar honor?" he roared. "I will show you what happens to weak species who do not know their place." The commander's huge hand shot out and grabbed Jin-woo by the throat. He lifted the human off the ground like he weighed nothing. Jin-woo's feet kicked in the air as he struggled to breathe. "Stop!" Tae-ho shouted, but his voice was lost in the noise of other workers gasping and moving away. Kethvar squeezed harder. "Let this be a lesson to all humans. You are here because we allow it. Show proper respect or face the consequences." Jin-woo's face was turning blue. His hands pulled weakly at the alien's massive fingers, but he could not break free. Other workers watched in shock, but no one moved to help. Fighting a Veltar commander would mean big trouble for the whole station. Tae-ho could not watch his friend die. Without thinking, he ran forward and jumped onto Commander Kethvar's back. The alien was so big that Tae-ho felt like a child climbing a tree. But Tae-ho remembered his military training from Earth. All humans had to learn basic fighting skills before they could work in space. He wrapped his arm around Kethvar's thick neck and squeezed. The commander dropped Jin-woo and tried to reach back to grab Tae-ho, but the human had positioned himself perfectly. Tae-ho locked his other arm in place and applied pressure to the alien's neck in just the right spot. "Let him go or I squeeze harder," Tae-ho said, his voice steady despite his fear. Commander Kethvar made choking sounds and stumbled backward, trying to slam Tae-ho against a wall. but Tejo held on tight, using his legs to stay balanced. The technique he learned in training was working. He was cutting off blood flow to the alien's brain, just like the instructors had taught him. "Release me, human," Cathvar gasped, but his voice was getting weaker. "Not until you promise to leave Jinwu alone," Tejo replied. The mighty Veltar commander, feared across the galaxy, dropped to his knees. His yellow eyes rolled back and his massive body went limp. Tejo held the chokehold for a few more seconds, then carefully released it. Cathvar fell forward onto the floor, unconscious but breathing. The hall was completely silent. Dozens of aliens from different worlds stared at the small human, who had just defeated one of the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy. Jinwu coughed and rubbed his throat, alive because his friend had risked everything to save him. Tejo looked around at all the shocked faces. He had no idea that in the next few minutes word of what happened would spread across the entire galaxy. He had no idea that he had just changed everything. The news traveled faster than anyone expected. Within 6 hours, every major planet in the galaxy had heard about what happened on New Busan Station. A human had defeated a Veltar commander in single combat. Most aliens thought it was impossible. Ambassador Lee So-young was having her morning coffee on Earth when her communication device started buzzing with emergency alerts. She was the chief diplomat for all human colonies, and her job was to keep peace between humans and aliens. Today, that job had just become much harder. "Ma'am, we have a situation," said her assistant as he burst into her office. "There's been an incident at the New Busan mining station." Lee So-young listened to the report with growing concern. She knew the Veltar well. They were proud warriors who never forgot an insult. If one of their commanders had been defeated by a human, they would want revenge. "Get me Captain Choi Min-ho on the line," she ordered, "and contact High Counselor Yoon Da-yoon immediately." Captain Choi Min-ho commanded the Earth defense vessel called Soul's Pride. It was one of humanity's newest and strongest ships, but even it would not stand a chance against a full Veltar battle fleet. When his face appeared on the video screen, he looked worried. "Ambassador, I've already heard the news," he said. "My sensors are picking up Veltar ships moving toward the border. They're not responding to our communication requests." "How many ships?" Lee So-young asked. "At least 20 warships, with more joining them every hour. This could turn into a full invasion force." High Counselor Yoon Da-eun joined the call from the Terran Colonial Assembly building. She was an older woman who had spent decades negotiating with alien governments. Her calm voice did not hide her worry. "The Veltar Empire has sent an official message," she said. "They demand that Kim Tae-ho be turned over to them for execution within 24 hours. If we refuse, they will consider it an act of war." Ambassador Lee So-young felt a cold fear in her stomach. One brave human had saved his friend's life, and now it might cost humanity everything they had built in space. "What about the other alien governments?" she asked. "Are they supporting the Veltar?" "That's where things get complicated," Counselor Yoon replied. "Some species are shocked that a human could defeat a Veltar. Others are impressed. The Merdoni Federation has sent a message saying they want to study human fighting techniques. The Zephyrian Collective is calling for calm." Meanwhile, on New Busan Station, Kim Tae-ho sat in a small room under protective guard. He could not believe what had happened. One moment he was a simple mining engineer, and the next he was the center of a galactic crisis. Security Chief Bae Jun-seok sat across from him. He was a former military man who had served on many different worlds. "Son, do you understand what you've done?" he asked. "I saved my friend's life," Tae-ho replied. "Jin-woo was going to die. Yes, but you also humiliated the most feared warrior race in the galaxy. The Veltar have never been defeated in single combat before. Their entire culture is based on being the strongest fighters." Tae-ho thought about this. He had not meant to humiliate anyone. He had just used the training that all humans received. "How was I supposed to know they'd never lost a fight before?" "Because they're 8 feet tall with muscles like steel cables," Bae Jun-seok said. "Most species in the galaxy are afraid of them. That's why they get to make demands and everyone listens." "Well, maybe it's time someone stood up to them," Tae-ho said. Outside the room, aliens from different species were gathered in groups, talking in excited voices. The station manager had called for calm, but everyone was nervous. Some aliens looked at the human workers with new respect. Others seemed afraid of what might happen next. Dr. Han Ye-jin arrived on the station 12 hours after the incident. She was a xenobiologist who studied how different species interacted. The government had sent her to figure out exactly what had happened and why it worked. She interviewed Tai-ho for 2 hours, asking detailed questions about his training and the fighting technique he had used. "This chokehold you applied," she said, "it's designed to stop blood flow to the brain, correct?" "Yes, that's what they taught us in basic training. It's supposed to work on most humanoid species," Tai-ho explained. "But did you know it would work on a Veltar?" Tai-ho shrugged. "I hoped it would. They have necks like we do, and they need blood to reach their brains." It seemed like basic biology. Dr. Han Ye-jin was amazed. While alien military experts had spent years studying Veltar armor and weapons, this human had focused on something much simpler. Every living creature had weak points that could not be protected by technology. The security footage of the fight was already spreading across alien networks. Military analysts from dozens of species were studying every second, trying to understand how human combat techniques worked. Some were frightened by what they saw. If humans could defeat Veltar warriors, what else might they be capable of? Damoai, Texkari Hive sent a message asking for detailed information about human military capabilities. The aquatic Merdoni wanted to know if humans had other pressure point techniques. Even the peaceful Zephyrians requested data about human physical abilities. Ambassador Lee So-young realized that the incident had revealed something important. For years, other species had seen humans as physically weak, but technologically clever. Now they were learning that human strength came from knowledge and technique, not just big muscles. "We need to be very careful how we handle this," she told her staff during an emergency meeting. "Some species might decide that humans are too dangerous to leave alone. Others might want to ally with us because we can defeat the Veltar." Captain Choi Min-ho's voice came through the communication system with urgent news. "Ambassador, the Veltar fleet has stopped at the border. They're not advancing, but they're not retreating either. It's like they're waiting for something." "Waiting for what?" "Maybe they're as confused as everyone else. No one has ever defeated their warriors before. They might not know how to respond." As the hours passed, more alien governments sent messages to Earth. Some offered support, others demanded explanations, and a few made threats. The galaxy was dividing into different groups, all because one human had refused to let his friend die. Kim Tae-ho remained in protective custody, unaware that his simple act of courage had changed everything. He just wanted to go back to work and forget about the whole thing, but the galaxy would not let him forget. Too many people now knew that humans were not as weak as they had seemed. The question everyone was asking was simple. What would happen next? Would there be war? Would there be peace? Or would the galaxy find a completely new way to solve its problems? The answer would come from the most unexpected source of all. 3 days after the incident, when everyone thought war was certain, something completely unexpected happened. A message arrived that shocked every government in the galaxy. Ambassador Lee So-young was in another emergency meeting when her assistant ran in with a data pad. His face was pale with surprise. "Ma'am, you need to see this immediately. It's from the Zephyrian Collective." The Zephyrians were the oldest species in the galaxy. They had been traveling between stars when most other races were still learning to make fire. They rarely got involved in conflicts between younger species, preferring to watch and study from a distance. When they did speak, everyone listened. Lee So-young read the message twice before she could believe it. "They want to hold a peace summit? And they're specifically requesting both Kim Tae-ho and Commander Kethvar to attend?" "Yes, ma'am. The message says the summit will be held on Concordia, their neutral world. They're calling it an emergency session of the Galactic Council." High Counselor Yoon Da-yoon joined the meeting by video link from the Colonial Assembly. "This is unprecedented," she said. "The Zephyrians haven't called for a full council session in over 200 years. Why now?" Lee So-young asked. "And why do they specifically want Tae-ho there?" The answer came in a private message from Elder Nimtek, the oldest and most respected Zephyrian leader. Ambassador Lee So-young read it in her secure office, away from other staff members. "Ambassador Lee," the message began, What happened on New Busan Station has revealed something we have long suspected. The galaxy has been operating under false assumptions about species strength and capabilities. Your human, Kim Tae-ho, has demonstrated that true power comes not from size or traditional weapons, but from knowledge and precise application of force. The message continued with information that made Lee So-young's blood run cold. Several aggressive species have been planning to test human defenses in the coming months. They believed humans to be easy targets due to your smaller physical size and relatively new presence in galactic affairs. Taeho's actions have forced them to reconsider these plans. Elder Nimtek explained that the Veltar's reaction was also important. Commander Kethvar was not permanently injured despite being completely at Taeho's mercy. This shows restraint that most species do not possess. In Veltar culture, sparing an enemy's life when you could easily kill them is the highest form of honor. Back on New Busan Station, Kim Tae-ho was trying to understand why everyone was treating him like he had done something amazing. Dr. Han Ye-jin sat with him in the small conference room, explaining what the summit invitation meant. "They want me to go to some alien planet and talk to government leaders?" Tae-ho asked. "I'm just a mining engineer. I don't know anything about politics." "That's exactly why they want you there," Dr. Han explained. "You're not a politician or a military leader. You're a regular person who acted on instinct to protect a friend. That makes you more honest than most people they usually deal with." Tae-ho looked out the window at the stars. "What if I say no? What if I just want to go home to Earth and forget this ever happened?" Dr. Han's expression became serious. "Then there will probably be a war. The Veltar are still angry and other species are choosing sides. Some want to attack humanity while others want to ally with us. The only thing stopping a galaxy-wide conflict right now is curiosity about what you did and how you did it." "That's not fair," Tae-ho said. "I shouldn't have to save the galaxy just because I helped my friend." "No, it's not fair," Dr. Han agreed. "But fairness doesn't matter when millions of lives are at stake." Commander Kethvar had been taken to a Veltar medical ship for treatment. When he woke up, he found himself surrounded by his own officers, all asking the same question. How had a small human defeated him? At first, Kethvar was furious. He demanded immediate revenge and talked about leading an attack on human colonies. But as the hours passed, he began to think about what had actually happened. The human had not tried to kill him. Tae-ho could have crushed his windpipe or broken his neck, but instead he had used a technique that rendered him unconscious without permanent damage. In Veltar culture, this was called Kethmore, showing mercy to a defeated enemy as a sign of superior skill and honor. The human fought with honor, Kethvar finally told his officers. "He defeated me completely but chose not to kill me. This is the mark of a true warrior." His second-in-command looked confused. "But Commander, he is just a human. They are weak compared to us." "No," Kethvar said slowly. "We have been wrong about humans. They are not weak. They are different. They fight with their minds as much as their bodies." When the Zephyrian invitation arrived, Commander Kethvar surprised everyone by accepting immediately. "I will attend this summit," he announced. "I must understand how this human defeated me so easily." Meanwhile, Oh Hyun-woo, a translator and cultural specialist, was assigned to help prepare Tae-ho for the summit. He had spent years studying alien languages and customs. "The most important thing to remember," Oh Hyun-woo told Tae-ho, "is that every species sees the universe differently. The Veltar think strength is everything. The Merdoni believe intelligence should rule. The Texkari make all decisions as a group mind. You'll need to find a way to communicate with all of them." "How am I supposed to do that?" Tae-ho asked. "I barely understand humans, let alone aliens." "Just be yourself," Oh Hyun-woo said. "Don't try to be a diplomat or a warrior. Show them the same honesty and courage you showed when you saved your friend." Captain Choi Min-ho was assigned to transport Tae-ho to Concordia aboard the Soul's Pride. As they prepared for departure, he gave Tae-ho a piece of advice. "Remember that you're representing all of humanity," the captain said. "But don't let that pressure change who you are. The reason this worked is because you acted like a human, not like some perfect hero." The journey to Concordia would take 5 days through hyperspace. During that time, Tae-ho tried to prepare for the most important meeting in galactic history. He read reports about different alien species and practiced speaking in basic galactic language. But mostly he thought about his friend Jin-woo, who was recovering back on the station. Jin-woo had sent him a message saying, "Don't worry about impressing anyone. Just tell them the truth about why you did it. As the Soul's Pride dropped out of hyperspace near Concordia, Tejo looked out at the beautiful blue and green world where he would try to prevent a galactic war. He still could not believe that saving one friend's life had led to all of this. Ships from dozens of different species were already in orbit around Concordia. The most powerful governments in the galaxy had sent their best diplomats and military leaders, and in a few hours they would all be listening to a simple mining engineer from Earth explain why he had choked an alien commander. Tejo took a deep breath and prepared to face the galaxy. Concordia was unlike any world Tejo had ever seen. The Zephyrian homeworld was covered in crystal towers that seemed to grow from the ground like trees. Rivers of pure water flowed between floating islands, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with peaceful energy. The summit building was enormous, designed to accommodate species of all sizes and environmental needs. Some delegates needed water to breathe, others required different gravity, and a few could only survive in extreme cold. The Zephyrians had created separate chambers for each group, all connected by translucent tunnels. Tejo felt very small as he walked through the main hall with Oh Hyun-woo, his translator. Beings from across the galaxy turned to stare at him. Some looked curious, others seemed angry, and a few appeared frightened. He was just wearing his simple mining station uniform while everyone else had fancy diplomatic clothing. "Remember," Oh Hyun-woo whispered, "they're all just as nervous as you are. This situation is new for everyone." Elder Nimtech greeted them at the entrance to the main chamber. The Zephyrian was tall and thin, with skin that looked like moving starlight. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind through crystal chimes. "Kim Tejo of Earth," Elder Nimtech said, "you have brought us together to discuss something that has never happened before. We hope you will help us understand." The main chamber was shaped like a circle, with each species delegation sitting in their own section. Tejo found himself at a small table in the center, feeling like he was on display at a zoo. Commander Kethvar sat across from him, looking much less threatening than he had on the mining station. Elder Nimtech called the session to order. "We are here because the incident on New Busan Station has revealed important truths about galactic relationships. For too long we have made assumptions about each other based on physical appearance and old stereotypes." The Merdoni delegate spoke first. They were an aquatic species that lived in water-filled suits when visiting other worlds. The humans' technique was based on knowledge of biology and pressure points. This suggests that intelligence, not physical strength, should determine hierarchy in galactic affairs. A massive delegate from the Kroktar Empire disagreed. They looked like giant lizards covered in natural armor. "Strength has always ruled the galaxy. If humans can defeat Veltar warriors, then humans should be feared and respected as the new dominant species." "That's not what this is about," Tejo said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. Hyunwoo looked nervous, but Elder Nimtech nodded encouragingly. "Please continue, Kim Tejo," the elder said. Tejo stood up, his legs shaking slightly. "I didn't fight Commander Kethvar to prove humans are stronger than Veltar. I fought him because he was hurting my friend. That's all." Commander Kethvar leaned forward. "But you could have killed me easily. Why did you not?" "Because I didn't need to kill you," Tejo replied. "I just needed you to stop hurting Jinwoo. Once you were unconscious, the problem was solved." This simple statement caused excited murmuring throughout the chamber. The concept of using only enough force to solve a problem was foreign to many species. A delegate from the insect-like Texkari hive spoke in their clicking language. Oh Hyunwoo translated, "They want to know if all humans think this way." "I think most humans do," Tejo said. "We're taught to use proportional response. If someone pushes you, you push back. If someone tries to kill your friend, you stop them. But you don't use more force than necessary." Elder Nimtech asked Tejo to demonstrate some human fighting techniques. A practice area was set up in the center of the chamber, and Tejo showed the assembled delegates basic self-defense moves. He explained how humans learn to use leverage and precise pressure points to overcome larger, stronger opponents. "The key is not to fight strength with strength," Tejo explained as he demonstrated a simple throw. "You use your opponent's strength against them. If they push, you pull. If they pull, you push." Commander Kethvar asked to join the demonstration. The sight of the massive Veltar warrior standing peacefully next to the human who had defeated him impressed many delegates. "Show me how you applied the chokehold," Kethvar said. Teho was nervous about touching the alien commander again, but Kethvar insisted. Moving slowly and carefully, Teho showed exactly how he had positioned his arms and where he had applied pressure. "You could have crushed my throat," Kethvar observed. "Instead, you chose a technique that would render me unconscious without permanent damage. This shows wisdom and honor." "In my culture," Kethvar continued, addressing the entire assembly, "we have a concept called Kethmore. It means showing mercy to a defeated enemy as proof of superior skill. This human demonstrated perfect Kethmore without even knowing our customs." The aquatic Merdoni delegate was fascinated by the scientific aspects. "These pressure points work on most humanoid species. Have humans cataloged the vulnerable points of all galactic races? We learned basic anatomy of known species in our training," Teho admitted. "But we were taught to use this knowledge for medical help, not for fighting." "You studied our weaknesses to help us, not to hurt us?" asked a delegate from the peaceful Lairani people. "Yes, if someone got injured in an accident, we needed to know how to help them. The fighting techniques were just in case we had to defend ourselves." This revelation caused another stir among the delegates. Most species studied each other's weaknesses to gain military advantages. The idea that humans learned about alien biology primarily to provide medical assistance was revolutionary. Dr. Han Ye-jin, who had arrived with the human diplomatic team, presented her research findings. Human military training emphasizes de-escalation and minimal force. They are taught to avoid fighting when possible and when fighting is necessary, to end conflicts quickly with minimal damage to all parties. A delegate from the warlike Thrakon Empire seemed confused. "But if humans can defeat anyone, why do they choose restraint? Why not conquer the galaxy?" Teho thought about this question for a long moment. "Because conquering people doesn't make them your friends, and we want friends, not enemies." Elder Nimtek smiled, an expression that made his starlight skin sparkle brighter. "This is what we hoped to hear. Kim Teho, you have shown us that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when not to use that ability." Commander Kethvar stood and faced his delegation. "I request that the Veltar Empire begin cultural exchange with humanity. We have much to learn from their approach to conflict resolution." One by one, other delegates began making similar requests. The Merdoni wanted to study human medical knowledge. The Texkari were interested in human decision-making processes. Even the aggressive Thrakon Empire asked about human training methods. As the day continued, Teho found himself answering questions about everything from human family structures to Earth's educational systems. The aliens were fascinated to learn that humans taught children to solve problems peacefully before resorting to violence. "So human children learn these techniques from a young age?" asked the Lairani delegate. "We learn to talk first, fight only if we have to, and always try to be fair," Teho explained. "My parents taught me that being strong means protecting people who are weaker, not bullying them." By the end of the first day, the mood in the chamber had completely changed. Instead of angry demands for punishment or fearful preparations for war, the delegates were engaged in thoughtful discussions about different approaches to conflict resolution. Commander Kethvar approached Teho during a break. "Human, I wish to apologize for my behavior toward your friend. I acted without honor." "You don't need to apologize to me," Teho replied. "You should apologize to Jinwoo." "I will do that," Kethvar promised. "And I would like to learn more about your fighting techniques. Not to use them in war, but to understand the philosophy behind them." As Teho prepared for sleep in his assigned quarters, he realized that something amazing was happening. The galaxy's most powerful species were talking to each other, instead of preparing for battle. And somehow a simple mining engineer from Earth had helped make it possible. The final day of the summit began with an unexpected announcement. Elder Nimtek stood before the assembled delegates with a document that would change galactic politics forever. "We propose the creation of the Concordia Accords," he said, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "A new framework for resolving conflicts between species, based on the principles demonstrated by Kim Teho of Earth." Teho nearly choked on his morning drink. "They're naming it after me?" Oh Hyunwoo patted his back gently. "Actually, they're naming it after what you did. The principle of using minimum necessary force with maximum restraint." The main chamber filled with delegates eager to hear the details. Elder Nimtek explained that the Accords would establish new rules for interspecies conflicts. Instead of resorting to military action, Disputes would be resolved through controlled demonstrations of capability, followed by negotiated settlements. The human approach shows us a third option, Elder Nimtek continued. Not weakness that invites attack, nor overwhelming force that creates fear, but precise strength applied with wisdom. President Lim Ga-yun of the Terran Federation appeared on a holographic display to address the assembly. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her voice carried authority that filled the chamber. "My fellow beings," she said, "one of our citizens has shown you something that we have always believed. True strength comes from protecting others, not dominating them. If this can help bring peace to the galaxy, then humanity is honored to share our knowledge." Commander Kethvar stood to address his own delegation. The massive Veltar warrior looked different somehow, less threatening and more thoughtful. "For generations, the Veltar have believed that might makes right," he said. "But this human defeated me with skill, not strength. He showed mercy when he could have shown cruelty. This is a higher form of honor than anything in our traditions." The Veltar delegation looked shocked as their commander continued. "I formally request that the Veltar Empire invite human instructors to teach our warriors these new techniques. We have much to learn about true strength." This announcement caused excitement throughout the chamber. If the galaxy's most feared warriors wanted to learn from humans, it would completely change how species viewed each other. The Merdoni delegates splashed excitedly in their water tank. The Federation would also like to exchange knowledge with humanity. "Your medical applications of anatomical knowledge could help us develop better treatments for interspecies injuries." Dr. Han Yejin, representing Earth's scientific community, stood to respond. "We would be happy to share our knowledge with any species that wants to learn, but we ask for the same openness in return. Humans have much to learn from your technologies and cultures." The Texicari hive buzzed with rapid communication before their delegate spoke. "The collective is interested in human decision-making processes. How do individuals make choices that benefit the group without central coordination?" Tejo found himself explaining human concepts of personal responsibility and community cooperation. "We're taught that everyone's actions affect everyone else," he said. "So we try to make choices that help our friends and neighbors, even when no one is watching us." As the day progressed, more species joined the discussions. The peaceful Lirani offered to share their meditation techniques. The technologically advanced Chindar wanted to collaborate on new safety equipment. Even the previously hostile Thrakon Empire expressed interest in learning human conflict resolution methods. Elder Nimtek called for a formal vote on the Concordia Accords. The document established several key principles. First, all conflicts would begin with an attempt at peaceful resolution. Second, if force became necessary, it should be the minimum required to resolve the situation. Third, defeated parties should be treated with respect and offered the chance to surrender honorably. Finally, all species would share knowledge that could help prevent future conflicts. The vote was unanimous. Every species represented at the summit agreed to follow the new guidelines. Tejo watched in amazement as beings from across the galaxy signed the most important peace treaty in galactic history. "This is unbelievable," he whispered to Oh Hyun-woo. "A week ago I was just trying to save my friend's life. And now you've potentially saved millions of lives," Oh Hyun-woo replied. "That's what happens when you do the right thing at the right moment." Commander Kethvar approached Tejo after the signing ceremony. "Human, I have a request. I would like to return to New Busan Station with you and personally apologize to Park Jin-woo. Then if he is willing, I would like to be the first Veltar to learn your techniques." "I think Jin-woo would like that," Tejo said. He's always been interested in learning about different cultures. The journey back to New Busan Station was very different from Tejo's trip to Concordia. Captain Choi Min-ho's ship was now accompanied by vessels from a dozen different species, all wanting to escort the human who had changed galactic history. When they arrived at the mining station, Tejo was amazed to see that it had been transformed. The station manager Kim Sung-ho greeted him with a huge smile. "Tejo, welcome back. We've been designated as the first interspecies cultural exchange center in the galaxy. We're going to have visitors from everywhere." Park Jin-woo was waiting in the docking bay, his neck still showing faint bruises from Commander Kethvar's attack. When the Veltar commander approached him, Jin-woo stood straight and calm. "Park Jin-woo," Kethvar said formally. "I acted without honor when I attacked you. I allowed anger to overcome wisdom. I ask for your forgiveness and offer my friendship in return. Jin Woo looked up at the massive alien who had nearly killed him. Commander, I accept your apology, and I'd be honored to help you learn whatever you want to know about humans. 6 months later, New Busan Station had become the most famous workplace in the galaxy. Beings from dozens of species came to learn human techniques and teach their own knowledge in return. The Taeho Protocol was now standard procedure for handling interspecies disputes throughout civilized space. Taeho still worked as a mining engineer, but now his job included teaching conflict resolution to alien visitors. Commander Kethver had become his first permanent student, spending months learning not just fighting techniques, but the philosophy behind them. The hardest part for my people to understand, Kethvar told Taeho during one of their training sessions, is why you would choose to be gentle when you could choose to be fierce. Because being gentle takes more strength, Taeho replied. Anyone can hit someone when they're angry. It takes real control to protect someone without hurting anyone else. The galaxy had indeed become a different place. Applications for human diplomatic corps increased by 300%. Other species began adopting human-style conflict resolution training. The threat of large-scale war diminished as species learned to solve problems through communication rather than violence. Dr. Han Ye-jin published research papers that became required reading at diplomatic academies across the galaxy. Her work on proportional response theory influenced a new generation of leaders who saw cooperation as strength rather than weakness. One evening, as Taeho finished his shift and prepared to have dinner with Jin Woo and their new alien friends, he received a personal message from his sister Kim Minji back on New Seoul Colony. Big brother, the message said, I saw the news reports about the anniversary of the Concordia Accords. The whole colony is still proud of you. Mom says you're famous across the galaxy, but you still haven't called home in 3 weeks. Fame doesn't excuse you from family responsibilities. Taeho laughed as he recorded his reply. Tell Mom I'll call this weekend. And tell her that her lessons about being kind to others are now being taught on planets across the galaxy. I think she'd be proud of that. As he walked through the station's main corridor, Taeho passed groups of aliens and humans working together, learning from each other, and solving problems through cooperation instead of conflict. Children from different species played together in the station's schools, growing up in a galaxy where differences were celebrated rather than feared. Commander Kethvar approached him, now wearing a simple instructor's uniform instead of military armor. Taeho, I have news. The Veltar High Council has officially adopted human conflict resolution methods as part of our military training. You have changed not just individuals but entire civilizations. We all changed together, Taeho replied. I just did what anyone would do for their friend. Perhaps, Kethvar said with what might have been a smile. But you did it at exactly the right moment in exactly the right way for exactly the right reasons. That is what made all the difference. As Taeho looked out at the stars through the station's windows, he realized that the galaxy had learned something important. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from fighting harder, but from knowing when to fight with wisdom instead of anger, with precision instead of force, and with compassion instead of cruelty. The universe was vast and full of different species with different ways of life. But they had all learned to live together because one human had refused to let his friend die, and had shown mercy to an enemy who could have been killed. In the end, that simple act of human decency had been enough to change everything.